Good afternoon. Hello.
Hello.
I don't know, there's a mouse. Okay, awesome. Yeah, okay, awesome. Um, this is our game. Uh, by Polaroid Travels by Midnight 21. This is the team layout. We have me. I'm the team lead and the concept artist of the game. We have Christopher and Anna as both 3D modelers. Christopher focuses on the assets and such as like the small things like that can be environment. No, mostly assets of like the weapons and the artifacts for the game. Anna is mostly for the environment and inks and is just the main person who does the 3D modeling for the whole environment. We have Thomas and okay Tom as the level of VFX and SFX designer, which is you'll see soon that he did a lot of work during the time for beta for music mostly, and then our main programmer Ethan, who worked on the programming. Could you believe it? um, for the overview, we have you play as a thief entering a museum whose mission isn't to steal the treasured artifacts, but in fact to steal the fame for the discovery of said artifacts. Our thief is very stealthy and cunning, willing to travel through the past using the power of your magical camera to steal the credit of discovering and photographing these ancient treasures. Our main target audience is 7 to 14, as we wanted to keep it cartoonish and comedic for any age, especially for 7-14 to enjoy. And why is the game like this? Well, it isn't supposed to be taken seriously. As I said, it's about a thief going back in time to steal, and um, it doesn't follow any logistics or like real life ideas or such of like other than the fact that the museum is based on real world such. This is the target audience, but more explained thoroughly. But it's to be a more puzzle solving game and as well as being exploration more without any violence or anything like that. But it's just cartoonish basically. Um, from where we left off for Alpha, we mainly didn't have anything to show for Alpha, mainly because we were running out of time and we didn't have a game to show, neither like a simple game to show at all. We only were able to show for like for example, we showed the mechanics, the way the game is supposed to look like if with the mechanics, but we didn't show the maps and the assets that were used throughout the whole alpha. And in the side here, the 3D modeling is the stuff that we weren't able to add on to alpha, but we were able to add some of them in beta this time. Um, for the art and VFX, I've done the UI on the top right that shows what the UI would look like if we put it into game. But we still haven't sorted that out, sadly, so which you'll see later. We were able to do a background for a specific for the instead of showing the book that has pictures of the books and such, we decided to have a pin board, which thought was fitting that was like planning things out with like the pictures and such. We also have on the bottom left with the ceremonial dagger and ceremonial axe, and I made sure to make the handwriting stylized by the fact that it could be the thief writing, but really awfully. And um, that's the different assets that we were going to do. Instead of having the picture of the 3D model, I decided to be like, just draw it out and show it like have more drawings out there instead of like all being 3D. And on the top left, what it's a VFX thing I did. I don't even know what I did, but it's a visual. like VFX that adds everything to be pixelated and look like old. And that's what we wanted to do, like a low poly game. But instead of throwing that all of our assets onto low poly, we decided to add the VFX of having lower pixels. Throughout the game, we were able to add songs. I pressed one of them. It's the pyramid theme, this one. I cannot see them out, so I can't play all of them, sadly. But this is a
I don't think
theme.
the sound comes through for us.
It's got
Sorry.
sound. Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, sadly, there's no songs, but these are all different themes that we were able to do. But Tom has worked on these throughout the full beta to add for the backgrounds and such. But it is he did an amazing job with these sound effects and themes, and it's sad that you can't hear it though because he did an amazing job. I want to go. There you go. It's playing all of them at the same time.
We can't hear any of them.
Yeah, don't worry, fixed it. Anyways, then we got the 3D props and textures. This is for the work that was done with during beta. The other at like 3D models were only worked on alpha. This was done by Chris, which was like used to be simplified and on everything to make sure that we skip the fact that our game is low poly and doesn't require too much detail. Anna has worked on these assets for the museum as to showcase like the lobby area and worked on the textures to look nicely in 3D in the 3D models and such. But of course, you won't be able to see this in the game as we haven't done the museum yet. But we worked on the pyramids part more. This is the nitty gritty of things, but mostly UI, and there's gonna be a lot of programming, so I'm just gonna be skimming them through. But this is the main one where we made sure that the UI was able to showcase the pictures in the game. It'll be shown later on that you could be able to click on the pictures to zoom in to be able to look at them and then click out and then resume the game. So you could see how the picture looks like and how you could like improve and such. You'd be able to collect all these pictures throughout the game and then be able to win because you'll be able to collect the pictures to escape the pyramid section. This is the UI for the pictures. A lot of repeating, as you can see. The top left corner, it's mainly to be able to close and open the pictures. The bottom one with the other repeating parts is just simply like to be able to see the pictures without having the pictures overlaying each other and such. This is the menu. We were able to have music as well as like if you press the start and quit button, you can start the game or leave the game completely, which is great. The UI, this is the UI for victory and defeat. We decided to have two different endings, which was again, victory is to, you win the game. Defeat is for either when you get the bad ending or you get caught by the guards. This one is just the pause menu for whenever you need to pause the game and quit. This is where we started to use the assets and textures into the game, as well as the visual pixels to make it look like low poly again, which I thought was really well made. Here's more pictures of like what the map looks like, as well as where everything would be throughout the game. Here it would be a guard walking through the middle and back, and you'll be able to hide throughout these rooms before you collect either like a little key to go to the next area or just go past the guard in general. Um, this is basically the basement of the mapping, where it shows all these pillars and where you can go around and such and while these guards walk back and forth to like make sure nothing comes in and nothing comes out and catch you if you get in their way. In here is a key that you'll be able to grab and then be able to use to get out of the pyramid to the next section of the map. The current state of beta, most of this is very rushed, to be frankly honest. We weren't able to add many of the things we wanted to add to showcase for beta, but hopefully we'll be able to showcase for the final product. In this side is we wanted to make the guards into 2D sprites, yet sadly we weren't able to have the extension of Paper ZD on our Unreal Engine because for some reason it wouldn't work at all. But we decided to either have our 3D modelist Anna to be able to create 3D models for the guards and as well as maybe Betty, the main character and thief, as it didn't really work out. And then, of course, our next focus, other than the 3D modeling of the guards and Betty, we would be focusing on the museum, laying it out, as well as making sure that everything works in the museum and be able to do the main part of the focus, which is being able to teleport from the museum to the pyramids with the fact that, it works out. There we go. This is the final gameplay of the video, which has hopefully everything. Throughout the whole game, sadly, you won't be able to hear. I'm not guessing you can't hear it, but it does have the sound of the menu as well as the background later on of the the pyramids. But this is to show all the gameplay mechanics that we got able to do, as well as showcase the songs that our SFX artist was able to do. Here, you'll be able to hide in here and everything. You'll be able to walk around and maybe able to find hints throughout the whole thing. Again, this is very rushed, so as you can see, there's not many things finished. You'd be able to go here and hide from the guards whenever you can. Here, you'd lose to the guard if you get caught, grab. Here, you grab the key to, of course, leave the pyramids. This shows the pictures and how they work. Of course, this is just a template for it to show the pictures, but because but yeah, the pictures are I forgot the word. Placeholders. There you go. Placeholders for now, but of course there'll be different drawings for it, which was the ones that I put before of the dagger and as well as the axe. Of course, it'll be definitely added into the game for the final production. What we will do in the future, I completely forgot to finish the beta part, but oh well. But for beta, we of course had everything done that we wanted. Mainly the mechanics and how everything works for it. So far, I wouldn't say we're really close to standard. We're near the middle of it, as you could see, and we're hoping to at least find out the different things, hopefully to get the museum going, get the other mechanics to work, as well as the camera, which you saw in the gameplay video. It was a bit buggy, as you could see the mouse. The camera wasn't working properly. It was all a mess. But hopefully we'll be able to fix that later on and get the game working. But yeah, any questions?
So what is currently in the game and working?
The game working is sadly, again, we were so rushed that we weren't able to get the pictures fit working or anything. But so far we were able to get the mini map, the VFX, as well as being able to pick up the AI for the enemies to walk around and catch you if you get caught. And that's me. And then the main menu to go to the main game, and that's the main things we were able to do.
So I can get into the museum, load into a level through the camera, and then do the whole level.
No, we don't have the museum yet. That's the problem. We have the pyramid level, but not the museum
Okay.
yet.
What I would suggest then is, rather than trying to make and model the museum, use it as a menu screen. So you click on the Egypt exhibit, and all of a sudden you get a little opportunity to take a picture of an environment, and then it sends you back in time where you're stealing stuff. I think it sounds like the kind of game where you guys have had a lot of fun making it, had a lot of cool ideas, but it's been quite tricky to sort of scope down. And I think there's a few red flags in terms of just making sure that everything gets finished by the deadline, because I think you guys have pointed out that there's a few points where you've said, we'll add this, we'll add that, and we'll keep going, but actually now we're looking at the deadline that's getting a little bit closer. We need to maybe help you bring that scope down and figure out where you want to be focusing. What did you think, Robin?
Yeah, I mean, it's really good to see. I think you have scoped down from when I last saw this, because I had a lot of questions, I know, for your team around like how the player would understand the gameplay loop and the differences between whether you were a criminal or a time traveler or a bit both.
Yeah.
So the explanation at the start definitely helped me understand that, like, you're not actually stealing the artifacts themselves, you're traveling through time to basically claim that you discovered them. Yep, cool. So the gameplay footage that we saw was entirely in the pyramid?
Yes.
Okay. What time does that live in as a level? Is that like when the pyramids have been finished? Is it more modern?
It's when the pyramids was finished, I would say. It's like at that time, as you would go back in time and then reflect on the past. That's what the whole reflection is about.
Cool. I think what confused me was the guards, because when you say guards, my brain thinks, oh, you're sneaking around the museum. So I got a bit confused about whether we were in the pyramids or the museum. I think Charlie's point around maybe, having the museum as just being the level select could be a really good way for you as a team to still keep all of the progress you've got and not lose momentum with that, whilst at the same time kind of keeping the overall idea around it.
There could be a fun case for you to do a little bit more concept art and draw out, so the little photographs you had of those individual things. I think in order to make it a little bit clearer, you could do a slightly different approach to it. So I'm picturing a map screen that's almost like the sort of handouts they give you, the little booklets, the map of a museum whenever you go somewhere. You use that as your sort of your menu screen, and then in front of each exhibition or each area is a little Polaroid of somebody important. So like Howard Carter, 1317, or whenever the pyramids were discovered, and then you've got a nice photo of the person discovering it, and then the way that we say we've cleared the level is that picture changes and it says whoever the main character's name is, same date, but they're like, look at me, I've stolen it. Because you've got some great shots of the main character sort of thinking about things in some really dynamic poses. So there's nothing to say you can't move those into that scene. So instead of Howard Carter exploring Tutankhamun's tomb and that whole sort of era of discovery, you can now kind of superimpose your character. And I think that the explanation you gave at the start of this pitch was so much clearer. I've never been clearer on what kind of game you're making, because I think Robin and I, it sounds like both have been a little bit uncertain on whether we're stealing, whether we're just taking photos, how it works, and why we're a thief. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for you to add quite a bit of character. A static menu cuts down quite a bit on your work to do. You've already got a static menu in your kind of your main menu, so you've got some of the framework to do it. And I would really focus on reusing assets. You've got some really good lighting in your pyramid. So there is no reason why we can't use those catacombs 2, 3, 4 times, change the lighting, adjust the texturing slightly, and bring it all together. I think.
Yeah, I would just say to focus on the gameplay experience in the pyramid and really think about, if it's about sneaking, how can you use this extra time that you're going to save from simplifying some of the menu elements and removing the museum to really make it fun for your player to be sneaking around. When I thought that it was in the museum, I was like, oh, could the guards have flashlights? But I guess if this is in a pyramid, maybe they could have like lit torches or something, just so it shows the player where they're looking. Because I think at the moment that's not quite clear in gameplay. So just think about these kind of bits of information you could be giving the player, and just make the sneaky aspect the kind of the fun there. And I think that way you'll still have a fully realized game that you can kind of present to people, even though it's changed quite a lot. But I'd say that's a really good sign, because it shows that as a team you are evolving each time we're going through this process with you. So thank you for taking on board that feedback and thinking about it and making changes as a team. It's always so much easier to just stick to your guns and be like, no, we will make it all, and then crash towards the end of a project. So well done for not doing that.
More of ambition.
And the artwork is looking great, and I think leaning into that more and the strengths that you clearly already have as a team in the last few weeks of this project will be really good. I'm excited to see how it turns out. But I think Charlie's point around having the photos that switch when you've completed the level would be fab.
I think that's what would help me. I'm thinking almost like Back to the Future, like they use that.
There's a few different people that would have discovered things in a pyramid. So you don't have to have all these different environments. You could have, like Charlie said, reuse your assets, but just have maybe 2 or 3 people that have made these discoveries that you're stealing the credit from.
And it you could have a fun point in there about how Howard Carter absolutely stole credit from however many other people were involved in the digs and things that went into actually discovering the tombs. And there's a lot of comedy built in. There's a lot of room for you to still have a lot of your own personality. So I wouldn't worry too much about kind of losing your vision in there. Could we just quickly drop back to one of the slides with your gameplay on? Because I think the only thing that stood out to me there that we haven't already talked about is I really struggled to see some of the hiding areas.
We weren't able to implement them most because, again, the whole gameplay idea for hiding and going into hiding places is to be able to go in third person again and to be able to be looking around. But we weren't able to implement the hiding places yet. So, of course, there's not much to hide right now. And most of the UI AI is still a bit janky at this moment. So we're trying to fix that as well as the hiding places and such.
I think it feels a little bit the game feels quite cheeky, quite fun, and a little bit silly. So I wouldn't worry too much about kind of giving you dedicated hiding spaces, especially if you want to make the pyramid feel like it's a real place. But I would maybe have a think about, those pillars are a really good example of being able to organize like design a space where you can naturally find somewhere to duck behind to avoid the NPCs, but still giving me room to look around myself. Because I think there's worry that if you spend too long developing that third person camera, then it's going to take away from a lot of the ideas that you want to implement and potentially getting a second or third level done.
I think you could look at, and this will be up to you guys as a team, one of the easiest ways to signpost safe spots for hiding in an environment is using shadows. So it would
Yeah.
involve you slightly shifting how the lighting is working in the scene, because at the moment there's this gorgeous bounce lighting that you're getting from like the uplighting around the pillars. But in order for it to really work for your gameplay, you may want to shift that around and think about having more directional lights so that a shadow is cast in spots where the player isn't going to be clocked by a guard.
Yeah.
So it might
Yeah.
be worth playing around with that and just see how the level feels with that, or maybe moving stuff around. But all of us as players, if we're sneaking, we know, there's a dark patch over there, I can hide. And so you're not having
Yeah.
to like show the player that they can kind of do that. And you wouldn't necessarily, like Charlie said, have to add more. It's just a case of using what you do have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think your point there as well made me realise there's that gorgeous lighting on the pillars. It feels a little bit out of place. I think they look fantastic. If you're going for that
That's why I
stylized
thought it was
approach,
the museum.
yeah, if you're going for that
Yeah.
stylized approach, then keep that lighting. I think it, that warmth really makes that space pop. But I think if you're going for the, this is way back when, in the appropriate time period, then have a think about doing some, maybe lighting from the walls in, or having sconces set on some of the pillars to really direct attention. But I think that absolutely makes it a little bit easier, as Robin said, to kind of direct those areas of shadow, maybe slightly further away, maybe behind certain pillars, just where you can duck in and hide.
Yeah.
Cool.
Make it for idiots. That's always the best advice. It needs to be something that even the worst player of stealth games can go, oh, that's shadowy, and I can, hide, crouch down there, and I'm fine. But yeah, it looks fantastic. I think you've made some fantastic progress. It is just going to be really focusing on that direction, keeping yourselves accountable, and making sure that you are now really focused on specifically getting these elements done.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much,
Thanks
guys.
very much.
Thank you.
Well done.